The Philippines is on the brink of a historic shift. Manila is now in advanced talks to acquire South Korea's KF-21 Boramae fighter jet, a move that would mark the most significant upgrade to Philippine air power in more than 2 decades and quietly redraw the balance of power in the South China Sea. For the first time in a generation, the country is preparing to field a true air superiority fighter. After years of reactive defense and limited capability, the Philippine Air Force is positioning itself to become a proactive, deterrence-ready force, just as China's gray zone pressure reaches its most aggressive level yet. Chinese forces continue to assert disputed sovereignty claims, issuing radio warnings and conducting sustained operations around contested features and adjacent waters. To avoid miscalculation, foreign aircraft are routinely told to leave immediately. This is no longer background noise. It's the new normal. The timing is critical. Chinese coercion is intensifying at unprecedented levels. In November 2025 alone, at least 19 PLA Navy ships were detected inside the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone. At the same time, air incursions over the Luzon Strait surged to record highs, signaling a deliberate effort to test Manila's response limits. Across Southeast Asia and the wider Indo-Pacific, other middle powers have already moved. Indonesia is buying Rafales. Malaysia is upgrading to F/A-50 Block 20As. Japan is fielding F-35s while developing its own 6th-generation fighter. Long viewed as the region's most vulnerable air power, the Philippines is now stepping onto the same tier. And the KF-21 is not just another jet. It is the first aircraft that gives Manila credible beyond-visual range combat power, semi-stealth performance, and full interoperability with US, Japanese, Australian, and South Korean forces. This is a shift from symbolic modernization to real hard power doctrine, matching the pace of neighbors who already rely on advanced fighters to secure their maritime zones. The negotiations also reflect a deeper regional trend. Asian nations increasingly building defense capacity with other Asian partners, sidestepping the slow, politically complex procurement cycles of traditional Western suppliers. South Korea's offer goes beyond aircraft. Financing options, maintenance and repair hubs, and long-term industrial cooperation are all on the table. This mirrors Seoul's partnership with Indonesia on the KF-21 program and could position the Philippines as a future aerospace hub in Southeast Asia. Regionally, the impact is impossible to ignore. A Philippine Air Force armed with Meteor-equipped KF-21s would force Beijing to rethink its escalation playbook. The effect would be similar to Vietnam's acquisition of Su-30s in the 2000s, or Taiwan's upgraded F-16 fleet today, raising the cost of pressure and forcing the PLA to commit more resources just to maintain dominance. This is a watershed moment. For nearly 20 years, the Philippines has lived with a dangerous gap at the heart of its national defense: the absence of a true multi-role fighter. When the F-5 fleet was retired in 2005, the country lost its air-to-air edge. Light attack aircraft and later the F/A-50PH helped restore basic capability, but they were never meant to deter a modern adversary. The F/A-50 proved useful for training and limited patrols, but its range, sensors, payload, and survivability fall far short of what today's threat environment demands. It was a stopgap, not a solution. Meanwhile, the gap between Philippine air power and regional realities has widened every year. Chinese J-10C and J-16 fighters, equipped with AESA radars and long-range PL-15 missiles, now routinely patrol contested air and maritime zones. Between 2024 and 2025, Philippine defense officials logged more than 200 Chinese incidents, including close shadowing, electronic probing, and coordinated air-sea operations designed to test responses and expose weaknesses. In this environment, air power is no longer a support function. It is the front line. For a country facing daily pressure inside its own EEZ, the ability to deny hostile aircraft freedom of action is not optional. It is essential to sovereignty, credibility, and deterrence. Without modern fighters, control of the skies and the seas below slowly slips away. Air superiority shapes everything. It determines how effectively the Philippines can protect its waters, support naval forces, counter gray zone tactics, and integrate with allies like the United States, Japan, Australia, and South Korea. Without a real multi-role fighter, Manila cannot fully plug into the Indo-Pacific deterrence architecture now taking shape. The KF-21 offers the first realistic path to closing that gap. Developed by Korean aerospace industries, the Boramae is South Korea's most ambitious defense project. A fighter designed to bridge the space between aging fourth-generation jets and the high cost of fifth-generation platforms like the F-35. It reflects Seoul's push for strategic autonomy while offering partners a modern, affordable alternative. For the Philippines, long constrained by budget limits and delayed acquisitions, the KF-21 arrives at exactly the right moment. Technically, the aircraft brings real muscle. With a top speed near Mach 1.8 and a combat radius exceeding 1,000 kilometers, it can rapidly intercept threats and patrol the vast reaches of the West Philippine Sea. Its AESA radar, infrared search and track system, and advanced electronic warfare suite are built to detect and survive against modern threats. Weapons compatibility with systems like the Meteor and AIM-120D gives Manila true beyond visual range lethality for the first time. While not fully stealth, the KF-21's reduced radar signature makes it harder to detect and target, an increasingly vital advantage as Chinese surveillance networks expand. Future upgrades push the platform even further. Planned internal weapons bays, improved sensors, and enhanced electronic warfare will bring later variants close to fifth-generation performance, without the cost or political restrictions of the F-35. This creates a long, predictable modernization path that aligns perfectly with the Philippines' gradual but accelerating defense transformation. What truly sets the KF-21 apart is balance. It delivers high-end capability at a price Manila can sustain under its Horizon 3 modernization plan. Early variants won't become obsolete, and the aircraft is designed from the ground up for interoperability with U.S. and regional allies. In short, it's not just a fighter the Philippines can buy, it's one the country can grow with. Current talks focus on an initial batch of up to 12 KF-21 Boramae fighters, enough to restore a credible multi-role capability for the first time since the F-5 era. The structure is deliberately scalable. If successful, follow-on orders could raise the total to 24 or even 36 aircraft, enough to field 2 fully operational fighter squadrons. If finalized, this deal won't just modernize the Philippine Air Force. It will signal something far bigger, that Manila is no longer content to simply react to pressure, but is ready to shape the security future of the Indo-Pacific. Cost sits at the center of these negotiations, and this is where the KF-21 truly stands out. It delivers something rarely seen in modern fighter programs, cutting-edge capability without a crushing price tag. Current estimates place the cost at roughly $70 to $85 million per aircraft, depending on configuration, weapons integration, training packages, and logistics support. That puts the KF-21 well below the cost of fifth-generation jets like the F-35, while still offering near top-tier performance. For the Philippines, the initial acquisition is expected to land between $1.0 and $1.5 billion, a figure that fits cleanly within the country's Horizon 3 modernization plan, without forcing trade-offs against naval upgrades or missile systems. Just as important, the deal is being structured under a government-to-government financing model, similar to the successful FA-50 purchase. This approach matters. It spreads payments over time, aligns them with delivery milestones, and eases the pressure on Manila's defense budget. More tellingly, it reflects Seoul's intent to treat the Philippines not as a one-time buyer, but as a long-term strategic defense partner. Under the proposed credit terms, payments would be phased and predictable, making a multi-year fighter program realistic even as budgets fluctuate. The timeline itself signals how serious both sides are. A memorandum of understanding could be signed as early as 2026, laying the groundwork for a formal contract soon after. If everything moves forward, the first KF-21s could arrive between 2029 and 2030, timed with the aircraft's Block 2 maturity. That means Manila would gain early access to advanced AESA radar, true beyond visual range combat capability, and a modern electronic warfare suite, right as regional tensions are entering a more dangerous phase. This timeline also intersects with major shifts across the Indo-Pacific. China's accelerating naval expansion, Japan's growing defense cooperation with Manila, and a broader regional pushback against coercive behavior. One remark from a Korean aerospace industries official involved in the talks captured the mood perfectly. The Philippines must be stronger than before. That statement says everything. South Korea sees the Philippines not simply as a customer, but as a rising security partner whose air power must be strengthened to preserve regional balance. In that sense, the KF-21 talks are about far more than aircraft. They're about geopolitics, alignment, and long-term strategy. If introduced, the KF-21 would fundamentally reshape the Philippine Air Force. It would shift the service from a reactive, limited response force into one capable of taking the initiative, shaping events in the West Philippine Sea instead of merely responding to them. With its speed, long-range sensors, and advanced radar, the KF-21 allows Philippine pilots to intercept intruders earlier and on far better terms. Its extended combat radius supports sustained maritime patrols over critical choke points like the Bashi Channel and Reed Bank. Paired with AESA radar, infrared search and track, and modern data links, the aircraft gives Manila something it has never truly had before: real-time, high-fidelity situational awareness. This is a leap the FA-50 simply cannot make. The deterrent effect is just as important. By fielding a fighter that can realistically challenge China's J-10C and J-16, the Philippines raises the cost of coercion for Beijing. For the first time in nearly 20 years, Manila would possess a platform capable of true air superiority missions, an ability long absent from its defense posture. In deterrence, perception matters as much as hardware. The KF-21 sends a clear message. The Philippines is no longer willing to treat violations of its EEZ as unavoidable. Instead, it introduces a credible layer of air denial, forcing China to think twice before escalating encounters. Operationally, the benefits ripple outward. As Manila deepens cooperation with the United States under the Mutual Defense Treaty, the KF-21's modern sensors, data links, and BVR weapons significantly improve joint air defense, maritime strike, and ISR operations. The aircraft also strengthens trilateral and multilateral exercises with Japan, Australia, and South Korea, plugging the Philippines directly into the fast-evolving Indo-Pacific air power network. Once viewed as the weakest link in regional air operations, Manila would emerge as a far more capable and interoperable partner. And for a country with a relatively small fighter fleet, reliability is everything. High readiness rates mean more patrols, faster scramble times, and a constant presence in contested airspace, critical in a theater where boundaries are tested every single day. One of the most overlooked yet strategically powerful aspects of the KF-21 talks lies beyond the runway: the proposal to establish a maintenance, repair, and overhaul MRO facility inside the Philippines. Such a facility could slash long-term operating costs by 20 to 30% based on industry benchmarks. Instead of sending aircraft overseas for major servicing, an expensive and time-consuming process, the Philippines would be able to maintain both its FA-50 and future KF-21 fleets at home. That shift does more than save money. It boosts readiness, shortens downtime, creates skilled jobs, and builds national expertise in high-end aerospace maintenance. In the long run, it strengthens not just the Air Force, but the country's defense self-reliance. Taken together, these elements show why the KF-21 is more than a fighter purchase. It's a strategic inflection point, one that could finally give the Philippines the air power credibility needed to deter pressure, protect its skies, and shape its own future. The proposed MRO hub delivers far more than cost savings. It opens the door to a much bigger industrial payoff. South Korea's defense sector is one of the fastest growing in the world, and partnering with Korean aerospace industries would pull the Philippines directly into that momentum. Through an MRO partnership, Manila gains real technology transfer, not just paperwork. Filipino engineers and technicians would work hands-on with advanced composite materials, modern avionics, and complex systems integration. These are high-value skills that currently exist only in small, fragmented pockets of the local industry. Over time, this exposure changes the equation. Philippine aerospace firms could evolve into certified subcontractors within KAI's regional supply chain. That shifts the country's role from a passive buyer of defense equipment to an active contributor in a broader Indo-Pacific aerospace ecosystem. And the vision doesn't stop with the KF-21. A mature MRO hub in the Philippines could eventually service not only the country's own FA-50 and Boramae fleets, but also aircraft operated by other Southeast Asian air forces. As more nations consider Korean platforms, Manila is uniquely positioned to become a regional maintenance and sustainment center, creating jobs, generating revenue, and earning industrial prestige. A Philippine Air Force equipped with modern, BVR-capable fighters would significantly alter China's risk calculations in the South China Sea. For years, Beijing has operated on the assumption that Manila couldn't contest the air domain, allowing PLA aircraft and drones to operate aggressively with little pushback. The KF-21 upends that assumption. Chinese pilots and commanders would face higher operational risk every time they enter contested airspace. Meteor-armed Boramaes give the Philippines the ability to challenge overflights, impose real costs, and undermine the perception that coercion is a low-risk option. At the same time, the deal strengthens the growing web of Indo-Pacific partnerships shaping regional security. South Korea's global pivotal state strategy, designed to expand its defense and diplomatic footprint, finds real-world expression through the KF-21. Meanwhile, the Philippines moves from being viewed as the weakest air power in the region to a credible contributor alongside the United States, Japan, Australia, and South Korea. The Boramae deal symbolizes this transition: advanced, Asian-built platforms being adopted by Asian militaries to address Asian security challenges. The result is a more interconnected network: shared supply chains, joint training, regional MRO hubs, and increasingly complex multinational exercises. The Philippines' potential KF-21 acquisition is a clear example of this new reality. It's not just a military upgrade, it's a strategic signal. At its core, the move represents a fundamental shift in how Manila approaches national defense. After decades of limited air power and constant pressure in the West Philippine Sea, the country is moving from symbolic air policing to credible air denial, the ability to say no and enforce it. The Boramae marks a turning point. It reflects an understanding that modern threats demand modern tools, and that sovereignty must be backed by real, deployable strength. Strategically, the KF-21 restores the Philippines' long-lost air combat credibility while deepening ties with key allies. It strengthens the U.S.-Philippines alliance, enhances trilateral and quadrilateral cooperation with Japan, Australia, and South Korea, and gives Manila a meaningful role in the emerging Indo-Pacific security architecture. Just as importantly, it reshapes deterrence in the South China Sea, raising the cost of coercion and forcing Beijing to rethink long-standing assumptions about Philippine vulnerability. In the end, the KF-21 Boramae is more than a fighter jet. It is a statement of intent, a cornerstone of the Philippines' evolving defense posture, and a declaration that Manila no longer plans to simply endure the turbulence of the Indo-Pacific, but to help shape its future.